with leader is here.
Hi, Scott. Look at
Hello,
the glasses
Erin. How
are
are you
back.
doing?
Did you wear the glasses last week?
I don't know. I
don't
think
think you did.
I was in Tulsa 2 weeks ago, but I don't know. I on my tuxedo jersey. I'm out of the bathroom. So,
Yeah, you're really moving up in the world, man.
Times are changing. I got a polo on. I don't
got natural lighting.
Mm-hmm.
You look
No
like you've been
pants,
out
though.
in the
Just
sun.
shirt.
You're really killing it. I'm pretty excited about today. Are you excited? We're live. I was just making sure we're live. We are. Good news. We are.
Very excited.
I'm so excited. So it was almost hard to get started because a lot of these people, I think all of them are our buddies.
Yep, everyone's friends and all very well known in Kansas City. I think we didn't explain to them that this is one of the few, if not the only LinkedIn Live shows in Kansas City. So it's a great way to reach people and connect and talk business, have fun, and catch up.
Well, okay, I'm in charge of music today, right?
Okay, yeah.
We didn't really decide what song do you want to hear? You know how fast I am.
Linda, let's get it started in here.
Oh, I like it. Okay, let me get ready. Are you ready? You're gonna do the intros.
Yeah, I do the intros. I had the Tiger teed up, but we want to mix it up.
Can you sing a little? Let's get it started for me. Just kidding.
No, I can't carry a tune.
Me neither. Let's do it. Hey, once we all meet in person again, let's go karaoke. It'll be fun for everybody.
Little red balloon.
I love
later.
I was like watching that place hard during COVID. I would like go to the Quick Trip, buy it just to make sure it didn't close. I figured it's lasted like 60 years. It wasn't going to. I love that place. All right. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's get it started.
That's pretty good. Introducing Mary Ricketts, Linda Endecott, André Davis, and Scott Lippert.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us. We're super excited because we know all you guys. This is so fun.
Oh, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I don't know how we can put it in an hour.
It's not going to be an hour. I mean, you might as well get ready for that.
I
don't see how it's going to happen. I just don't see how it's going to happen.
So as I was I had to find sunglasses, and I found Bank of Blue Valley, and then I have a Mariner cup, and then I realized, what business does André Davis not do in town? But we're not going to start with André. We're going to start with Mary.
Real quick.
Yes.
That requires sponsorship money next time you do that. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. Well, André's going to buy us all beers, so it works out.
I will. Would love to buy you guys beers or whatever.
So Mary, we're going to start with you, and it's a little bit of a long answer, but we'll start yelling at you if you go long. But so give us the 5-minute background of your journey through Kansas City and your business today.
Oh my goodness! So Kansas City is home. Kansas City is home. Born and raised KCK. My dad was a dentist. My mom was a surgical tech. So a little bit of that entrepreneurship was in my bloodline, all the way from my grandparents in New Orleans. So it's always been there. One of the things that I love to do, and it's kind of funny how I even started the coaching business. It really was started when I was doing a lot more financial and insurance services, but most of my clients were business owners. So it was fun when it was, hey, help me get here. It's like, but where's your business? I don't know where this money's coming from, but if we don't have your business in order, I don't know how you think we're going to make it happen. So the business and leadership coaching just really kind of flowed and happened really naturally. I was actually talking to a girlfriend of mine earlier. It's like, I got my first management position at AT&T. I'm not going to tell you what year, but I will tell you that it has been about 30 years ago. That's all I'll tell you. It has been 30 years. So leadership and business coaching and leadership coaching and sales coaching, it's just in my bloodline. It's not work when you love what you do. So I love it. I actually started coaching probably more so officially, probably like 2015, and then just let it blow up and expand. It has just morphed itself.
And so we'll keep going clockwise around. So Scott Lippert, give us your background of how you got started in Kansas City on business, and you've had a little detour to the West Coast along the way. So how did it roll and how did it start?
Well, like Mary, I'm pretty much Kansas City through and through. I've had some detours. I lived a little bit in St. Louis, and I spent some time out in San Francisco helping staff out IT departments for some startups out there. But other than that, well over half my life I've been here in Kansas City. So my family has been here. My father, 40 years now. He is in commercial real estate. My family has owned and operated close to 50,000 apartment units, mainly Houston, Dallas, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Atlanta, St. Louis as well. Those were where our major holdings have been. I worked for my parents for a little bit, but then I kind of ventured off and got into the technology space. Had a little run at Sprint. Went out to San Francisco to help build out those IT departments for the startups, and then came back, started a company. Sprint gave me a preferred vendor status to come back and help them build out some talent for them. They were moving from PCS into sprintpcs.com, and then from there, eventually IBM and EDS came in, and Sprint pulled all preferred vendor. And that's when I started Balance Point. Had a good run at Balance Point for the last 14, 15 years, but was, towards the end there having a hard time scaling that business. We wanted to make a pivot, and we got into the software development space. So we went out and acquired a couple of firms. We partnered with Mike Zimmerman at Artisan Technology Group, which is the current name of our new company. And then we acquired also Engage Mobile. Brought all that talent together and kind of have a tiger by the tail today. We're doing a lot of really amazing software development builds for some of the larger enterprise companies here in Kansas City. So that's exciting. We also started a ventures group where we're building out a fund in the tech tool space. And we're also building out some internal products. So that's on the venture side. And my dad, we kind of have a family trust or the family office piece where it used to just be real estate. My family's kind of taken some chips off the table, invested obviously in technology. They are our investors in our company. But then we also invested in some banks, some satellite companies, energy companies. One of our biggest plays right now is IVX Health, which is used to be called Infusion Express. We partnered up with McKesson, which is one of the fourth or fifth largest companies here in the country. So we're pretty excited about that play on that side. But I'm mainly focused on the software development space and trying to build out that company, Artisan Technology Group. So that's my overview. Yeah,
a good segue to that is talking about your medical expertise, Scott, is one thing that André does really well in Kansas City is building out that medical space. But before we dive in to the medical space, André, you're a homegrown Kansas City guy, but kind of give us your story professionally and your career path and where you are today.
Yeah, so thank you. First of all, great to be with you too. I missed you, Aaron. I haven't seen you in a while, young lady. So it's good to see you. I see Scott all the time. So and Linda, we always get together. But no, so actually, I'm not necessarily homegrown. I'm from the East Coast. So my mother's from Saratoga Springs, New York. So we came very early when I was younger to Kansas City and grew up in Kansas City. Ended up moving to Grandview many years ago, going to school there. But the professional journey really started when I kind of got into the investment arena. I had my Series 663 and was working for Smith Barney, doing some things. And that's a story I don't tell too much, but spent some time there and just wanted to pivot and ended up working for a publishing company here for many years that you guys all know. Spent time there. And then I started in that process, started to understand kind of what sales was. And then I understood what I do. which is completely different, right? And so what it became about was, you know, what value could you bring to other people? So what I started to see was companies would seek me out and say, hey, we thought maybe you could help with whatever that is. You fill in the blank. And I started to figure out that the skill set that I acquired was having an impact. And it wasn't industry exclusive. It was really agnostic. You could go anywhere, and really just at the end of the day, it's about dealing with people. So how do you deal with people? And what I found that stood out was most people are only in it to help you if it benefits them while they're there, right? They want to benefit immediately. And what I started seeing in the publishing world is, if you could dump value first and not ask for a thing, then you would have people lean in on you in a way that you wouldn't have to go ask them, hey, how do we do business? They would seek you out. They would ask you, you know, what does it take? How do we work for your company? You know, what could you do? Tell me what you want to accomplish. And we really started to just pull back on the presentation style. I'm on this really bent curve about, we present way too much, right? We're presenting. We're always talking about our value proposition, but we very seldom slow that process down and ask people, why are you renovating? Why do you want technology in that space? What do you want? What do you help the game from adding technology? And really trying to do a deep dive. And so the work that I do, that I get pulled in to do, whether it's nonprofit, for-profit business, is I get brought in at a very high level to engage at a high level, 40,000 foot view, to try to figure out what people are doing. So you could think of me really as, it's kind of akin to a chief vision officer. What are companies trying to do? And what I believe is, if your company can't solve the problem and you're with that person and you know a company can solve the problem, bring that company forward, right? Which sounds counterintuitive. It's not counterintuitive. You actually have deeper engagement from the company you just helped, because now they're going to seek you out because you haven't done it. You haven't asked for a thing, but you've given all the value up front. So that's a lot of the work to do. So I get pulled into the nonprofit world quite a bit, and I've spent a lot of time in the nonprofit world, and I love the work that I do there. And I sit on multiple boards, and sometimes boards open up to me that I'm not really looking for extra board, but they kind of open up. So what I find myself is like Mary, but probably I found myself in the mentoring coaching space, not seeking it, but people are like, hey, what do you think about this? I say, oh, well, tell me what you're trying to do. Oh, here's what I would do. And here's who I'd contact. And then I found myself mentoring, nurturing a couple people, and, you know, off it went. And so now working for Built, which is construction, but it's really innovative construction. So what Built's trying to do is fill a need that I think that has existed for a while, which in the construction world is, we're always building things up, and then the minute you need to change something, you demo it. So what we felt with Built, working with Mark Brandmeier and Dave Anderson and Russ Brandon and Kerry Brocker and the rest of our team, we built the company. We're building a company that we're saying there's a better way to build things, right? And so what Built essentially is a multi-trade construction solution. And what we do is build custom interiors that are meant to be disassembled should you need to rearrange, change. It doesn't work that. So we have been really making some inroads into the healthcare space. I just talked to Don Peterson, which started Infusion Express, that McKesson bought out. Don and I were linked in the banking world. And so again, another relationship that was about me financing something, which was Infusion Express. Then that bled over into Built, because it's about sustaining relationships. It's not about rinse, repeat, wash, and continue on. And so that's a lot in a nutshell. I know we'll get into more details, but Linda and you and I, we all know kind of how we navigate this space, but it's really about that servant leadership process, isn't it, Linda?
Absolutely. I was just sitting here thinking, I don't even have to talk. You just said everything I'd be saying. So we're kind of good on that. But I got to Kansas City via Valley Forge, Pennsylvania is where I'm from. Valley Forge Park was actually pretty much of my backyard. I was also a Girl Scout back there, which is how I got to sit on my first board. And I was 14 years old sitting on my first board. And I know there were a lot of really ancient people on that board. They were probably in their late 20s, early 30s. But to me, they were kind of old. So everybody, it's a lot of where my training came from. And that's where I first learned that it is about the relationships that you build, even when you're asking for money. It is everything about the relationship. Do not ask for the money, because you have to find out what drives the people. And that was a long time ago. What we would say now is, what are people's passion? But that was the very beginning. I went to college in Virginia and met the only person on the entire campus of a university that was from the state of Kansas. And the rest was history. As my parents said, really? You're moving?
Wow.
What? He lives where? And so that's how I made it to Kansas City. Started doing a lot of volunteer work before I had my babies. I did teach kindergarten when I first moved here for 6 years. That was my early training, was in elementary education. Always volunteer work. Took a lot of business classes at one of the local universities here, not the one where I actually work now, but a different one. And worked a lot in the nonprofit field. Had the opportunity to travel internationally and teach philanthropy in other countries that were coming out of places where they really didn't get to have a say. So that was really interesting for me. We also, I have a business partner. We also have a company called Evolution, and we work with companies that are looking for value creating change. So I used to work a lot in that, but now I am totally immersed in Rockhurst University, and I run the executive MBA program there. So what I love more than anything is connecting, meeting people, helping them find their passions. What do they love? How can they continue? How can they upskill? And within, as we all know, when you go back for adult education, continuing education, it's about what you learn, but it's also about the people that you meet when you're in that class. That experience of commonality, like basically we all have together, that experience of commonality, that's what makes us so close. And it's also what makes us really good together because we all trust each other.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me jump in here real quick. We have a lot of people. This is such an awesome panel. We have so many people watching. If you guys will let us know you're watching and start asking your questions so we don't get flooded all at once, because I want to try to get to as many as possible. But if we don't see any comments all at once, then we won't get to them, because I know everyone here will just start talking, right? So if you'll start let us know if you're watching it live or you're watching the replay, and then start asking your questions now. I'll let you take it from there, Scott.
Exactly right. And also, if you do a shout out or ask questions, Aaron will read it. So it's a good time for a selfish plug if you're asking questions. The other thing
Always
I love
be networking.
Yeah, that's right. And I love how André segued right into Linda. And the thing I thought about Linda when she was talking about her MBA program, Linda is crushing it right now and having people enroll in a time where we can't be getting people together. Linda is getting people to have interest and get into the MBA program, which if she can do that, which is hard to do when you can't physically be in the same space. I think that's super impressive. Mary, I'm going to give you an extra question because everyone below went a little long, which we all do. And so I want I want to know.
Really? In the middle. I mean, come on.
Scott's down and over.
Yes, I'm a talker. I'll quit talking. But Mary, one thing I think everyone did a great job. Scott, André, and Linda was talking about what an ideal client looks like, and they kind of described it in a roundabout way. And so talking about what your ideal client looks like and if someone would like to work with you, and then segue to the question I'm going to ask everyone else. Tell us about a recent success. So who's an ideal client and what's a recent success?
I'm listening.
An ideal client will look exactly like Aaron.
He's a business coach.
Because I am Aaron's coach. Aaron's team is an ideal team. One of the things that, to be very honest, that I struggle with people and teams that aren't that have like no energy. I can pump you up and get you going, but if you come to the table with nothing, I'll probably be like, Mary Ricketts is probably not a good fit for you. But and I'm just being so honest. But I have had the honor of coaching physicians, coaching lawyers, coaching mental health therapists. So it's that are, solopreneurs. My passion, and it's funny, as soon as I say my passion really is teams, business owners with teams, someone will say, but Mary, I don't have a team and you're great with me. I'm like, I know. But it's that blessing. I'm being honest, the blessing and benefit of having done so many things in my career. I'm not that old, but I'll be 53 this year, and I'm proud of it because I look good. But I can even think of like the first time I met Linda. Linda and I was like, oh, she didn't know, but I'm like, she's getting a quick little coaching session real quick. And it was authentic. It was real. It was relational. And, she doesn't know, but I'm going to come to her house and plop on her lawn and have a cup of coffee with her there. But, that ideal client really is that person who says to themselves, I know I need to get from here to there. It's all in my head. How do I get there? And then the one that will respond. I've coached executive directors of nonprofit organizations where it's just, where it's the fun of let's do an assessment and then let's take it from there. I have a wonderful sales team that I'm coaching right now. One of the things I get to tell them is I can't coach what I've never done. I can, but it's not as authentic for me. I've been a major account executive. You can't lie to me and get away with it because I probably told the same ones to my executives back in the day. So I would probably say, that's it. It's people who are passionate about making a change, about getting to the next level. I do this well, Mary, but I really need to take it to the next level. If you come to me and say, I'm a 5, what's it going to take to get you an 8? If you think you're going to go from a 3 to a 10, I'll probably challenge you on that. Like, really? Why do you need to
jump in and tell you I chose Mary because at this point everyone in the world came and wanted to be my business coach, right? Like I get hit up on LinkedIn 10 times a day. I actually chose Mary because I knew I'm a lot. And I knew that I needed somebody to hold me accountable, and she's good at that.
What?
I know it's tough.
I can't say that.
We're gonna pray for you, Mary. We're praying.
So, Mary,
Yeah,
tell us about a recent win in your business, and then we want to segue to Scott and go to André and Linda because we have a lot of questions that are going to go down, and I want to make sure we get to it by 3:30.
Let me tell you this. One of the biggest wins I've had are the doors that have opened up that weren't there before. Especially the opportunity with one of the other universities. I won't name drop them because my girl's on the call with me, Linda. But another one that we were getting ready to launch some things that had to get pulled back because of COVID. And, well, can we launch them in a different way now? And it's like, yes, which means now I'm not just your local KC corporate training, coaching side. We are going to be able to take this to a national level. So we're going to be able to take all of our online courses, our face-to-face courses and shift them to 4-week online courses. It's going to be phenomenal.
One thing I also love is that everyone loves Linda so much that we all refuse to say competing universities, even though she doesn't care. I just think that's hilarious. So Scott, you've had a lot of recent wins, including providing a lot of solutions for companies here in town. Not just, the Black and Beaches, the Dimensional Innovation, some big name companies. So what is something that you're really passionate about that's been a recent win that you've had fun doing?
Well, we love going in, working with local companies, and a lot of projects we do are mission critical for those companies. And we go in, do a really quality job, get them to where they need to be, and watching those companies flourish over some of the things that we create. Whether it's systems integration, systems automation, we develop features, we develop products, we're taking clients to the cloud. All those type of things, and just watching those companies grow from the things that we deliver is very, very rewarding, I must say.
One thing is,
is he done?
COVID,
Awesome.
okay,
I got stories for days.
I think Scott, one thing when we have questions, it'd be interesting to have you loop in how things are going with COVID-19 and people needing to work remotely. And I know people have questions for André as well about real estate. So I know that will pop up, but just food for thought. So André, for yourself, what's a recent success for you in your business that you've had?
Yeah, we the good thing is we came off our best year ever last year. Bill's been in business almost 5 years now, and so we had our best year ever. It was a collaborative effort. We are an evolving business, so that's beautiful to hit. So December, best year ever, and then we hit 2020, and we have an moment, right? Because it's everything happening. The beautiful thing about our business right now is that everyone is extremely busy. We've been working remotely since March 11th. We're busy. We're getting a lot of interest right now because the way that we tilt up construction has very short lead times. So people are reaching out, which is nice. There's a lot of effort out there, but we could name a lot of them. I think some of the ones aren't really necessarily business related to me. Some of them are nonprofit related, really. You mentioned earlier the city council thing. That, and really quick, that was something that I never had an interest in going through the leadership program because I've been going through leadership stuff for about 20 years, right? Mary and I kind of sit in that 53-year-old cul-de-sac. So we've been hanging out a little bit, right? And so for me, I didn't need another thing. I've been really mentored by a lot of CEOs and been around these guys for a long time. And so I got an opportunity to kind of hang out with Mark Hill, who's the Civic Council CEO. And he asked me if I would go through the Kansas City Mayoral Leadership Program, and actually sponsored me to go through that. And you have to be sponsored to get in. And so that was something that came out of nowhere on a totally different thing. And all I did was present to them. I wasn't looking to go in there, but he asked, right? So what it told me is you never know how people are sizing you up. So you got to respond in a way that says, man, I want to know more about Scott Hayes. There's something about him. Just want to know more. And I think that's what happened with Mark. But one of the really cool things, and I'll be real quick. So we did a dental clinic on the plaza, Valencia Endodontics. And I can't even think of his last name. It just escaped me. Anyway, won't matter. But anyway, Valencia Endodontics and Dr. Chet was awesome. And I remember asking him, because we built that clinic, 8,000 square foot clinic. He built it from scratch, demoed 92 days. And I remember asking him, and this is the impact you can have on people, what if we hadn't completed that on time? What would have been the effect on you as a business? And he said, we would have lost some money. I said, significant amount of money or just lost some money? He said, significant. I said, can you share amounts? Wouldn't share amounts. He said it was a big impact. And so what he did to me unsolicited was he sent over an email that really described what the impact was to the business, his clients, and then to his family. And I thought, that's what this is. This is not about a construction project. This is about solving challenges that exist in a business, and you're only doing it through the conduit of construction. So that's what this is for me. So we take a really big high picture view there. So that was one of the ones. Dr. Chad Waller, I had a little brain fart. Dr. Chad Waller was our client, and he's so super stoked about it. But yeah, lots of wins. We're having a great time. We love engaging with people, as you well know, Scott, Aaron, and Linda. We're very collaborative, and we believe that if a project's not the right thing for us, we're going to bring that to another contractor because we still have an obligation to solve the needs when we're in front of the client, whether it benefits us or not.
One quick story. I don't know if André wants me to tell it, but they had a previous name of their company that made them sound like a competitor. And I think a really good reason why we all, and all of us here on the call, do a great job of bringing different opinions to the table so we can make better decisions is changing the name of a company so that your referral partners don't think you're competing against them like general contractors. And André,
Scott set me up on that one. That was a setup, Scott. Scott brought in some general contractors to meet with me and talk. And I was probably 2 or 3 months into the business, and it was built interior construction. And I thought it was going to be a real collaborative exchange. Hey, what do you work on? How do I help you? And it wasn't really that. It was like, why are you a GC? And why do you have built-in? I thought you guys, and so I absorbed all that. And I said, tell me why you think that. And I just kind of pivoted around all of that energy that was coming towards André. And we calmed things down, and we described to them that we weren't a GC. And then I was trying to work up to the partners that, hey, maybe we ought to drop interior construction. And then I'm out with Mark Brandmeier. We're doing either a meeting or something like that. And he goes, yeah, we're going to be called Built now. It's like, oh, so I don't have to make a case for that because you've already made the change. But it was a good change because no one ever said we're going down to see Built interior construction. It's like we're going down to see Built. That's what they came with. So it made a lot of sense. But Scott set me up. I didn't know it was going to be that kind of meeting. There was a lot of A personalities in that room. You got to absorb that energy, and I did. So.
He's put me in some of those meetings too.
Totally.
It just gets sometimes just bringing a different perspective works. And so, Linda, one thing that you've done throughout your career is always bringing different people to the table. Not on that segment. What is a recent success before Aaron goes to questions from the audience? What is a recent success you've had in your organization and business?
Well, I think our biggest success was as a university as a whole. I have to say, when the pandemic actually became a real thing, we were able to shift and move our things online. And we did it. Of course, it wasn't without some missteps along the way, but it's been really well done. The communication's been great with the university. They have been totally transparent. They've been awesome. You will laugh over the fact when I was still meeting with people online or through email introductions, I happened to take a look at the address of one of the students that wanted to talk with me, one of the executives that wanted to talk about the executive MBA program at Rockhurst University. And I said, hey, you just live about a mile from me. I'll provide the chair if you'll bring your own coffee, and let's meet in the front yard. So that is actually what I have been doing along the way, is just kind of moving it. I'm known for meeting at XWA. So we're just XWA West in my front yard. And so we've been meeting here. I think the other win has been, and I was talking about this before we came live on air, is the fact of so many Zoom meetings, all the incredible people I have gotten to meet, I've gotten to hear. It's like I'm going through a whole new education for me on so many levels. And then before I pass it back, I just want to say I left the age of 53 in the dust a long time ago. A long time ago. So it's actually that age does not matter. I had to come to that resolution. But totally. I have learned more from all these people that I get to sit in this square with right now, or rectangle, that I get to sit in this rectangle with right now. You all just make me a better all the time. And that's what I love about what I do. And I feel like I'm an extremely fortunate woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that we met at Axwa because André was French, but now I know.
I am French. My daughter went to Academy Lafayette, so she's French. So she can translate for us.
That's right. So, Aaron, as we go into Q&A, what's cooking in your world?
Yeah, so keep getting your questions asked. We got some good ones here, but I want to make sure we get to everyone's. So first of all, Lauren's popped on here. I popped her on a few times because she's hitting up. She's not just hitting on comments. She's also hitting on my text messages, but I'm ignoring it. She's trying to get me to laugh on my text messages. I'm calling her out right now. I don't do this to her. So here's the deal. She says, Mary and Linda, you all are such incredible examples of women leaders and networkers. What advice would you give other women leaders as they seek to expand their networks? Mary, let's start with you.
Probably one of the first things I would suggest is be authentic. If you come to the table authentic, I will come to the table authentic. But if you come shady, just know people can spot that. When I think of, even the first time Aaron and I met, and the first time Lynn and I met, and then Scott and André, I met you both years ago through Linda. It was authentic. If I want something excellent to come, I've got to bring excellence to the table. And don't think you have to have such a gigantic circle, because you don't. Mm-hmm. You need key players in your circle. Come authentic, come with excellence, and that's what you should expect.
How about you, Linda?
I second that completely. Always be authentic. The other thing I was going to say is come with an open heart and always pay attention to kind of pay attention to the people that are around you, because you never know where that magic is. And it is magic when it's like kind of bricks. But I do think it's be open and be willing to take a chance. It's hard to walk into a room where you may not know anyone or you're surrounded by a group of strangers. How do you break into those groups and just walk up to someone and go, "Oh, you just look like you're having such a good time over here. I just wanted to come over and say hello." Always be open to that and be willing to give before you get. Be willing to find out. Spend your time asking about the other people. It comes back to you 10 times over. And it's just pure magic.
You know what? I'm going to pivot. That's two wonderful answers. I'm going to pivot this question over to Scott Lippert too, because Scott, I think that sometimes, and you might struggle with this a little bit like me, since you grew up here and stuff, sometimes you can walk in a room and already know a lot of people. How do you continue to grow your network?
You just, you keep it open. I mean, I like sitting down with anybody, that I can. You never know where a great relationship will start. You never know what it'll lead to. I think, networking, you never close doors there. You got to keep it open. You got to love it. I love people. That's where I gain my energy. So wherever there's people, I gravitate to. And I'm willing to sit down with anybody, and I like listening to their stories, and obviously I like telling mine. So that's just what I like doing.
Scott sat down with me for the first time a week before his wedding, a month before mine. We've come a long way.
Yeah, you'd always get the avocado toast, and you're like, you're like, no potato.
Oh, yeah, you
I fit into a wedding dress. I was like, okay.
I met both of you guys right before my wedding. I'm surprised you're still my friends. All right. So I think that most of us know this guy pretty well, but we've got a question for you, André. Question for André, and then I'll take it off. 2020 is potentially impacting the size and mindset of commercial real estate construction and design. What are you hearing as new thoughts and ideas in this area? And I would even add on, how's it impacting your business?
Mm-hmm.
Boom, there it is, right? So that's a lot. It is really a mixed bag. And so what I think is important when you're in a moment like this, which many of us have never been in a moment like this, and so is to think long term. Yes. What are you doing now so that when you come on the back end of COVID, you're prepared, right? And I think what I've been really conscious of is I don't have all the answers, but there are people that play in the construction game, the real estate game, the brokerage game, the tenant rep game that I have access to. And so I'm hearing all kinds of different things. We're hearing that when in the fall, when flu season's in, we're going to go back to a shelter in place. So although we might go back out, we're going to come back in. So there's kind of it may contract. I'm hearing from some clients that they're looking for strip centers, because imagine going into a high rise, only one person in the elevator. You have to wait till they get their come back down. Think how long that takes to get to your office. So what if you could go into a vacant strip mall and have a horizontal office versus a vertical? We're hearing some of that. We're hearing a lot of flexibility needs, which is what we do really well, right? Because we built things that are agile. You can always move or distance if you need to. So we think we are in a right place right now with the business, but also we're looking at companies that understand that you may go and build everything privately in your office so that if someone sneezes, they can't get out of that perimeter. But what happens when there's a vaccine and then you want to open it back up? Do you demo again? Do you move to a new location? So we think we're really positioned well as a business because we can tilt up things in the interior of a space, disassemble that space, open it back up without any waste. You're not interrupting the flow of business. And it's just a cleaner way to do it. So we think we're in a good place. And then really the reality is we don't know. And here's what I would tell people. Don't play the victim. We're all in the same storm. We have different experiences in the storm. We all sit in the same storm. I can't tell you the number of calls I get of people that are a little bit frustrated. There's anxiety. They don't know how to navigate. What are you doing? Everyone's on a virtual call, depending on whatever platform that is. And so you have to understand that old normal that we knew doesn't exist anymore. This is our new normal. Mm-hmm. And the quicker you embrace it, like our teams really embrace what this is, the quicker you embrace it, the better you will be when you come out on the other end. Also, one last point, be careful what you're going after in this moment of trying to do business. Because if you're only doing business in this moment, when you come out on the other end, people will know you as only caring about the business. Mm-hmm. You don't care about the person. And so you've got to be careful about your language, your communications, your tactics, your emails, all the things that you do to try to drive business. It is a very difficult time to try to drive business unless a client is reaching out and saying, Mary, you know what? I was thinking about using you. I think the time is right. Things are still. I think I can dedicate the time. But you've got to ask people how they're doing, because they may be going insolvent, they may be laying off, they may be furloughing. If you go into hey, let's just do business, then it really puts you in the box that you really don't want to be in.
I 100% agree with that, but I would almost say it's even more important to listen to them, because on the flip side, there's a lot of businesses doing really good, and you might be assuming they're not too. Yeah, I've seen that happen too, especially in marketing, where people are assuming people don't want to make business decisions right now, when people are like, at least our space, I want to double down on my marketing, right? Totally. So I got listening to their needs.
Right. And I got an email just 2 weeks ago from, I won't name the health system, but I got an email from, very high up that said, hey, we're thinking about redesigning our space. We thought you guys might want to look at this. And I said, man, I'd love the chance to figure out what you're after. Let's talk about what you're after. And how do you get there though? How do you get someone at that level to engage you that way? There had to be some groundwork laid, and like Mary said, very authentic. You can't just use a gimmick to make you appear authentic, because they'll see that. It has to be you, be authentic, tell the truth, be transparent, and let it go. Scott's raising his hand. Are you giving me a high five, or are you stopping me?
André, how long, I know what you're talking about, and it's a huge opportunity. How long did you lay the groundwork prior to the phone call recently to start the conversation about a new project? Because you probably knew that. For the people listening, you probably have been laying the groundwork for a couple of years. So how long did that take to lay the groundwork?
Yeah, so it's a great question, by the way. Here's what I would tell you. When I meet with someone, much like what Scott talked about, and you've had Jennifer Bergman, I think, on your program from UPN. So Jennifer, and I hope she doesn't mind me using her as an example. When I met Jennifer, we had 3 coffees. On the 3rd coffee, she says, André, what does Built do? And I explained to her, and she said, hey, we renovate all the time. Could we ever look at what you're working? I was like, of course. And so my rule is, if you're there to get to know people, why do you bring the name of your company up? Why does that matter? Because you're getting to know people. Get to know people authentically, be helpful, add value first. And then what you'll see from people like Jennifer and others, that they'll start to lean in, because they're like, man, he never asked me for anything. And that doesn't mean you're not doing business. What you're doing, it'd be weird, Scott, if you met your wife one time and then when you got home, you had a priest, your mother was in the room, you're like, hey, let's just get married. Kind of what we do in business. We meet somebody, we had a fantastic coffee. I think we ought to do business. Why though? Why should you do business? You haven't learned enough. So it's about really learning who you're in front of and figuring out where you can solve challenges. And so that's what I do. And so I think, of course, we were talking to them and asking them and building relations very authentically. And he felt comfortable enough to reach out to me and go, hey, we're thinking about something. What do you think? And that is a great response from someone you're trying to do business when they ask Scott, what do you think about this? Because now they put you into a box where they really trust you and they want your opinion. And that's all I want from clients is, do you trust me? Do you want my opinion? Do you value my opinion? And would you reach out for it?
I love that. It has been interesting during COVID to see how many people are trying to get in new spaces that they haven't really figured out if people are ready for that. Right. And you can't just call yourself an expert too, right? All of a sudden.
Right. They're just throwing a whole bunch of stuff against the wall. Yeah.
We've got 15 minutes, and by no means is that long enough for this next question, but I am not going to skip this next question because I think it is very important. What I want to make really clear is this is a business show. So I really want advice on how businesses can get clear on here. That's how this question is asked. I've had in-depth conversations with both the Scotts and Mary about this. André, I've seen you on every show in the world these past 2 weeks. And Linda, I think I kind of know where you stand, but I want to hear because you've From my point of view, you've been doing good at this your whole life. So racial equity is important,
Absolutely.
especially in light of the Black Lives Matter movement. What can we do as leaders to create a culture of inclusion and belonging in our organizations? And Scott Lippert, when we get to you, can I have you actually just chat over some of the stuff you've done the past couple of weeks? Because we've had some real authentic conversations around here. But let's start with Mary and André from their point of view, and then we'll go Scott, Linda. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's this one more time.
Okay, thank you. So what can we do as leaders to create a culture of inclusion and belonging in our organizations? One of the first things I honestly think we have to do is evaluate where we currently are. If you look around your organization and first of all, you don't see any minorities, you don't see any women, you don't see people that just don't look like you all the time, especially, and you're missing out. You know, I got to teach a gender equity workshop for DI. And it just amazes me when we're still missing the ball. I'm like, come on, you guys, it's 2020. Why are we still missing the ball on this? But we are. So
Yeah.
I think one of the best things that is happening right now is it's in front, it's visual. We don't need to miss this opportunity again. The momentum is there. We've got some things we've got to address. Open up the doors of conversation without retaliation. Because if you bring me in and you ask me to have a diversity and inclusion conversation with you and your staff and your team, I'm not sugarcoating it. I will share from my own experiences. You know, when I was the only female and only minority as a major account executive in some of the biggest companies in Kansas City. And it's just like, okay, but it's time to move past that. And the first thing we have to do is assess what's going on in our own environments and be honest about the why behind it. That's my short version.
André?
Yeah, I would tell you, to your audience, right? Have you ever walked into a space where no one looked like you? If you haven't, you ought to try it. See what it feels like. Experience it. Mary and I, and many of the professionals in this community, we do that on a daily basis. We walk into a room and no one looks like us. And so what we have to start asking ourselves is, we hire that kind of environment because it's comfortable. Oh, you went to KU. Hey, I went to KU. Did you know Johnny Marshall? Oh, yeah, I know Johnny Marshall. So it's comfortable. Diversity requires you to be really uncomfortable because you're going to meet people. They don't look like you. They don't have the same background as you. They may not have the same parental makeup as you. And so it forces you to get a little uncomfortable to hire someone like that. But if you're seeking different perspectives, for instance, the reason that the Civic Council came up, because I went to an event and they were giving a State of the Union about where Kansas City was, the lack of diversity. Everyone on the stage was not of color. Where was the lens? You need someone with better optics because sometimes unconscious bias means you just don't know. You're ignorant, right? You need diversity so that you understand the playing field now. And your clients are demanding it, right? They kind of see how you operate. So what I would tell you is be intentional about it. You can't use the excuse, I just don't know any people of color. That's not an excuse. It's not. You ask for every other piece of business. Hey, do you have an accountant? Do you know an insurance guy? Hey, who's your wealth management guy? It's very easy to say, hey, we're really trying to add diversity to our team. Do you know anyone looking of color that might be qualified to come and work with us? That's all it is. It's not any different than that.
Can I throw one little thing in there? Because, André, you hit it on the nose. We just don't fill seats just to fill seats. I don't care what your organization is. If you're going to fill them, you fill them with quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want you just to check a box and say, okay,
Right.
Now I have someone that's Hispanic, that's Asian, that's African American, that's Jamaican. I don't want you to do that. I want you to do it intentionally and do it with quality.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
I had to throw that one in there. Don't just check the box. Bring
Yeah, that was
quality
a good
to the
stamp.
table.
Yeah, you stamped that one, Mary. Nice work.
So to Andre's point of how many people have ever gone into a room and not, this is something that has to be done with intentionality. This is why I personally went and sat on the Hispanic Chamber Board. And I will tell you that is 1/1,000,000th of what you guys feel on a daily basis. But it clicked, right? It clicked. Because I even remember at one point I said something, I'm like, well, should we do it like this? And they're like, they're my friends. They're all my really good friends. But they said, well, you don't understand because you're not Hispanic. And they didn't mean to say that right away. They were like, but I got it, right? I got it. And so I would challenge everybody I know that's white to put yourself in some sort of situation where you can get it for 1/1,000,000th of a second. And that could be a huge step. Scott, let's talk about, you and I had a really open, authentic conversation for like a really long time the other day. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you guys have been purposely doing over the past couple of weeks, because I happen to know you've told me you have learned a lot in the past couple of weeks and you've been very intentional on trying to learn more. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I'm a white male, André, and and I've seen this for a long time. We have not been on a level playing field. I like to sit back and I want to listen. I want to learn. I want to open up my network. I want to do all the right things to make this place a better place for us all. And we're looking and we're trying every day to take the right steps to move those things forward. I've reached out to Aaron. How can we make a difference? How can we personally make a difference and move the ball forward? And Aaron, thank you. You gave us some really good pointers, and I really took those things to heart. And we're excited to carry those torches forward, and make a difference here in Kansas City, and hopefully not here, but across the world. So, just reaching out to WeCo KC. I'm putting a plug for them. We're sitting down with them tomorrow and trying to figure out, with all the tech talent that we have, how can we go there and make a difference, and use our talent to come in and teach maybe those people that the inner city, where they just don't have the access to the things that me as a white male have been privileged of having. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with them and giving up my own time. And I know we have a lot of amazing engineers and architects that are really excited about that. And that's just one thing. But again, really excited about that meeting.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I wanted to bring that up because I think that sometimes we think, especially us that are white, we think, what can I do to make a difference, right? And the thing is, to what Scott said, opening up his network and using the talent that's going to make a huge difference, right? Like, we all know tech jobs pay a lot of money, right? And so being able to teach more people that, because that's what Scott has to offer, right? Linda, I'm very excited to hear about this from you, because I feel like you were doing this probably from day one, and you've had a lot of experience in it. So let's kind of, I'll put up Lauren's question one more time, but
pretty much, well, I think I've got her question down. Pretty much it was the way I was raised. It's all about knowing who you are as a person. You have to know who you are before you can help lead others. And so it's being very clear what you want in your life. And I've always wanted diversity. I've wanted inclusion. I've wanted to get to know people that I did not know. And I want to know their stories. I want to hear who they are. And so when you take a look at what you as leaders can do, open up your ears. I have to say, André, when we were on a call the other day, you asked me if I had seen the movie 13th. I had not, but it was immediately when we were finished with the call, I sat down and watched that movie. And then again, as I said, I did leave the age of 53 in the dust a long time ago. So there were a lot of things that were part of my life, from my childhood to my teenage years, my formative years, on what differences this makes. And it makes me understand I'm but one person, and I am a white woman being a word. I had my own struggles in business just being a woman. But add a Black woman on top of that, a person of color, that's a whole other story. And we really need to be sensitive to that. We need to be aware of that. And when I take a look at my friends, I think I have a pretty diverse group of people that I can turn to, that I can talk with. I mean, I still chuckle. As we were coming into the pandemic, Mary Ricketts was my last coffee out, before I got stuck at home. And I mean, it's our favorite thing to go do. I mean, it's just, and that's what makes your life so darn rich. Otherwise, you cut yourself off from all the other opportunities there are out there. So it is listen, care, be empathetic. Bring that word out there. Without empathy, you've got nothing. So you have to be empathetic, but you have to know who you are and what your intentions are, because Mary said it really well. That has to be people of quality that you want to bring. If you're going to invite someone to come sit on your board, care about what they have to say, care about the experiences that they're bringing. And if you find that you're the person that's sitting in the room and you don't see that happen, use your voice, speak up, Don't let it go without saying what you want to say. Speak up.
André, I feel like you have something to add.
Yeah, I think, Linda said it eloquently, right? It's about, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, right? You hear that all the time and you go, yeah, but, there's some people that they're struggling, but they want the same thing. You think they woke up and were born and said, hey, I just want to struggle all my life. They don't, right? It's a system that's in place that's preventing some folks from getting ahead. We know that. We need to recognize that. I think we're at a moment now. And I told my mother, who's 75, she never thought she'd achieve this moment again in her life. But I told her recently, I said, I'm optimistic because the people that are protesting are white and young, and they're going to change it. And what I've said to people, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've never had that happen in any moment in my life, right? Where people that are not black and brown reach out and go, I'm with you, I stand by you, what can I do? And I give them, it's almost like rinse and repeat. Use your voice, use your access, use your privilege, speak out. That's it. And here's what I would tell you. If you are a person that is complaining about the what, the rioting, the looting, but you're not vocal about the why, you are part of the problem and you don't even realize it. So don't complain about the rioting. That's what. The why is why the rioting happens. You're talking to oppressed people that have been fed up, and you'd have to be crazy in America to think that there isn't racism in our country. Now, people of color that are trying to do our thing, like Mary and others that are in, in careers and have done well. We do our business, right? We're not worried about whether you think we're the only black person walking into your boardroom when you're a nonprofit. We're going to share our voice. We feel good about sharing our voice. We're going to leave. Hope you feel good about what was shared. If you don't, we'll move on. That's how we deal with what we do. And so when Scott says, I want to get involved, there are so many ways to get involved from a technology platform, because keep in mind, when the shelter in place happened, all those kids in urban districts had no technology. They had no Wi-Fi. They didn't have access. Working remotely wasn't an option. They didn't have anything in place. So there were a ton of ways to get involved. And what I would tell you is that we can't just talk about it anymore. I think we're past that. You've got to go and get involved, and it requires you to be active. So what I've said to people is get involved in a way that you think makes sense for you. And whether that's nonprofit work or whatever that is, or starting something, a foundation, whatever that is. If you feel like you want to march on Wednesdays, whatever you want to do, march, be a part of it. But there is a movement happening, and we have to recognize that. And our young folks just simply aren't going to put up with what they've been witnessed. If they just witnessed, they're not going to put up with that.
Well, and
so we're going to have to figure everything out.
Well, and it's those younger children as well. Those kids that are part of this right today, they're going to be the leaders of tomorrow. How do we guide them so we don't have to go through this major again? You just keep evolving. You just keep growing. You just keep working together, because that leadership is going to come from somewhere, and it's going to be them.
All right.
Aaron, one thing is I'll let you wrap up, but one thing I think we've learned from this panel is I always knew everyone on this panel led with a servant mentality. You got to give to get, and they're always looking to help others. But I think what I've also learned is that when you're always helping others, it provides you a window to help challenge people, because you've shown that you truly care about their best interests. And I think everyone here does a great job of challenging people to be different and to be better. And I think that's just really interesting to think of those who give also, I think maybe challenge a little bit more. With that being said, Aaron, how do you think the show went?
I think it went really well. I do want to say one thing real quick, because I think that I'll be mad at myself if I don't say this. To everybody's point, to Mary's point, big time. I know this stuck out with me. Bringing in somebody for diversity inclusion. I saw somebody post this that's in my LinkedIn network, not in Kansas City. But if you are a white business owner that's going to bring somebody in for diversity and inclusion, do not ask them to do that for free. That is their job, right?
Totally.
So I've seen an influx of people in that teach diversity and inclusion, and all of a sudden they're getting flooded with leads, which is great. But a lot of people are like, can't you just have this conversation? That is their job. Just like construction is Andre's job, technology is Scott's job, and BA is Linda's, coaching is Mary's. Scott, you're an intern.
We don't know. I do what Andre does.
Just kidding. Benefits, right? And marketing, right? But
We just run our
that is
mouth.
their job. They have spent
Right.
years
Yeah.
to be able to teach you that. So I just think that I would be mad at myself if I didn't remind people that
Yep.
asking questions is amazing. Asking an expert still requires you to pay them.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
okay, you guys, we're getting so many great comments. Go back and make sure. Lucas said that he's kind of had the experience of walking in and being the only white person in the room, and that majorly shaped who he was. And I know him as a kid. He's amazing.
Oh, Randy, thank you. That's cool.
Randy Powell is he thinks everyone needs to listen to
Thank
this,
you.
and I know he's gonna share it because he shares our stuff, and he is
Love you,
awesome.
Randy.
I will tell you, I also got a call from him. He was ready to build put all of his money into every app in the world. I told him there were a couple that were built, so he's still working on some of how he can make everything, but he wanted to get an app built right away, so the police got reported right away. He's got all sorts of ideas. So if you want to work with Randy Powell, he's got awesome ideas. And then Lean Lab Education is doing some incredible work also for the students.
Totally.
So that's a good one to look at. I think this went really well. It was an amazing conversation. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We did have a request so that Lindsay can share you guys. So Lindsay, I'm going to tag everybody on this post so you can go back and connect. Make sure that everybody that connects with our speakers honors those connections. So do not hit them up with a sales thing right away. Not you, Lindsay, but everybody random. Build the networks. That was the big point today, because those networks will help you make a change. So thank you all for coming on, and we really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
Thank
This was a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.